Hey, Larken Rose here. So there are some super bad hombres, and I'm gonna go teach them a lesson. Who's with me? Now, if I said that to you, now, maybe if you know me personally well enough, you'd say, well, I know Larken's gonna stick to the non-aggression principle, so maybe I'll, go along and find out what the heck he's talking about. Even that probably shouldn't give anybody that much benefit of the doubt. If you're a rational, moral human being, your response to that would be, who are these bad people? What did they do? What are you going to do to them? And why? And what are the specifics? What are you talking about? But that is one of the tactics that government always uses, is they're not going to describe the specifics, because then most people would go, ugh, I don't want to do that. So watch how often they talk in very general terms. Israel has attacked Iran. No. 0.0001% of the people in Israel, namely some psychos in the ruling class, gave some orders so that some mindless murderers of the Israeli armed forces went over and dropped some bombs in certain places. Now, in Gaza, it wasn't certain places, it was all over the freaking place. But in this case, there's particular targets. But imagine hearing, oh, well, they're going to, target their nuclear sites or, whatever vague fluff they're going to say. Imagine if you had the magic power, okay, we're asking you, random person, are you okay with this? Are you going to allow this to happen? But you have the power to watch it, see the specifics. You get to be there on the ground watching the bombs land. You're invincible, so you're a spectator, but you're not going to get blown up. But you get to see who and what does get blown up, exactly and precisely in each hit, in all the destruction that happens. And then you get to rewind, and then you get to press the button that either makes exactly that happen or not. Instead of just hearing, oh, we're targeting these things. Well, with what? Doing what? How big? What area? What else is around there? And again, this is an example that if you put it in any context other than war, it's immediately obviously insane. Like if I said, well, there's some bad people on the other side of town, they've done some horrible things, even if that was true. If I then said, so I'm going to fly some bombers over there and firebomb the hell out of that side of the town, every decent moral human being should respond by saying, what the hell is wrong with you? Don't do that. If there are individuals doing something so bad that force is justified against them, okay, use force against them. You don't bomb a whole town. What the hell is wrong with you? That is the only rational moral response to literally every single military operation that any government ever does, is don't do things that are going to kill innocent people in the name of protecting innocent people. And it's what the U.S. warmongers do. It's what the Israeli warmongers do. It's what everybody else does, too. Iran and the political powers in Palestine, even though it's not technically a country and all that. But the people who wield power are often just talking in vague targets. We're gonna hit them where it hurts, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna punish them for what they did to us. Well, who's them? What us? What did they do? What exactly are you doing? Specifically, not just, oh, vague bad guy did vague thing to these poor victims, so these poor victims are going to do some other vague thing back to those vague bad guys. Instead of, here is exactly what happened, and here is a response that's moral and reasonable and useful and should happen. You don't ever get that from any military. One of the reasons is war is the goal. As I've said before, war is the lifeblood of the state. I've seen a quote about that misattributed to several people. I don't know where it originated, but it's totally true. War is the lifeblood of the state. They create wars to have wars, but they could never get any public support if they would actually all the way describe, okay, here's the bomb we're going to drop right here, and we're going to show it to you on the map. Yeah, they're just random people living here and here and here, So it might kill some of them. Or here's a factory where they build something. Or maybe they're working on nuclear research to make a power plant, to make a nuclear power plant. So there may be researchers and scientists in there, but we're going to drop this bomb in there at this time of day and kill whoever's in there. Almost anybody who heard that would say, whoa, that's messed up. Why, don't do that. But if you can talk in terms of they're trying to make nuclear weapons, what they? Like everyone in Iran? Pretty sure that's not the case. Are there some people? Well, probably not. But even if there were, it's a few people working for the power-happy ruling class in Iran. And notice the inherent immorality of every military solution. Because I'll say this, if there actually was somebody somewhere, we'll say Iran, it doesn't make any difference, who's like, we're working on making a nuclear bomb to set off in some city to kill a bunch of innocent people. It is perfectly moral and rational, if you all the way knew that and had proof of that and knew where the person was, to even just send in a hitman. Okay, the person actually doing that, threatening to kill a bunch of civilians, yeah, target him if he's actually a threat. If you actually have enough evidence to know he fully intends to victimize a ton of innocent people, then that would be absolutely justified targeting just him, not blowing up the whole frickin' town he lives in. Target just the aggressor. Here's the uncomfortable part. That describes the leaders of a hell of a lot of countries, including the United States. They individually, personally give orders which result in killing a bunch of innocent people. And that's why I said before, I'll say it again. If we're speaking in literal terms, if you're somebody in Yemen and your family just got blown up by some U.S. bomber that was dropping bombs on you because a certain politician in the U.S. said go drop bombs on that place and your family was blown up, and you take out a hit on the guy who gave the order to murder you, I have zero problem with that. I think that is absolutely justifiable and moral. Absolutely. And there are absolutely justifiable moral ways to deal with all sorts of nasty psychos, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. And there's plenty of psychos outside of the U.S. I'm not one of the people who thinks that, oh no, everybody just gets along and everybody's nice. Even though every single time that I bash the war machine, a bunch of bootlicking statists will say, oh, you think we're all just going to get along? No, you can't get along, dumbass, because you're one of the people advocating the war machine that inherently and intrinsically is terrorizing and torturing and murdering innocent people in the name of some righteous cause, instead of actually targeting things so that if there's somebody so bad that they need to be blown up or captured or whatever, you do that, but you don't just slaughter a bunch of innocent people who happen to be in their general vicinity, because that's wrong. That's immoral. That's insane. And that is what every government military does, because they need to do that to create a war. Because if they just targeted the actual evil people, even the people in that country would say, oh, okay. Like if there's, some serial killer in the U.S., and China sends in a hitman and knocks off the serial killer, okay, that's not an attack on me. And first of all, even I did China doesn't do anything. If some people in the ruling class of China, for some reason, killed a distant cousin of some guy over there, so they're mad at the serial killer, if they send a hitman to knock off the serial killer, okay, that's not an attack on me. That's not China doing anything. That's not anything being done to the U.S. But the warmongers need people to think in terms of these big categories, and they need people to keep their thoughts vague so they have vague enemies. Because if you have a vague enemy, then you can do big military stuff and hurt a lot of innocent people and make sure you will forever have more enemies, because you just blew up a bunch of innocent people and now people over there are really mad about it. And they're probably going to run to their government and ask them to blow up a bunch of people over here. And this doesn't just apply to the military. I mean, one of the most glaring examples that I've talked about a million times recently is illegal immigration and ICE fascists deporting people. By the way, it's been fun to watch a bunch of videos of people just chasing them away. And when somebody shows up with a mask and a gun and won't say who he is, you have the absolute right to shoot him in the head if he doesn't leave. I don't care if he really is a government agent. If somebody shows up like no warrant, no anything, just I'm here, dressed like a fascist, heavily armed, coming on your property or into your business because I want to make sure everybody here has the approval of the politicians. Anybody shooting them is absolutely justified, if that's what it takes to make them leave. Get out of my business or I'll kill you is 100% justified. Now, wouldn't go well a lot of the time. Sometimes it would. And if enough people did that, it wouldn't be necessary anymore because immediately the fascists would, well, they wouldn't be able to hire anybody to do it because these bastards on a power trip who like to go around harassing people in their masks, not telling anybody who they are, frickin' cowards, thinking they're badasses. If they start dropping like flies because people say you're not coming on my property, I don't even know who the hell you are. I don't even know if you're really a government agent, as if that would make it any more moral, then that wouldn't work anymore. Anyway, that's an aside to the overall concept of immigration. I saw a post from somebody on Twitter, already forget the name. He has a fair number of followers, like lots more than I do, but I didn't recognize his name, but he made a post, and good for him. Like, sometimes I have to wince while saying good for you, because what I'm really thinking is, why the hell did it take you till now to notice that? But the fact that you noticed it at all and, like, decided on something moral, okay, good for you. I will always say good for you, despite my frustration. But this guy made a post that said, I've changed my position on the deportations. Because I was thinking, like, deporting, like, kidnappers and human traffickers and rapists and murderers and all these horrible people. I'm all for that. But then there was just some, like, nice Mexican lady who, like, everybody liked her and she's perfectly sweet and got along, and then she got hauled away. And then this person was like, oh, that's what I was supporting. That's why they do the vague crap. And when they get specific, they're lying. Well, this is just to take those scary people out. No, it isn't. That's the example they're going to tell you about, so you're dumb enough to support the vague, overarching, huge authoritarian solution of anybody who's here without the written permission of the ruling class. We're going to send masked, heavily armed thugs to drag them away and kidnap them and put them in a cage and maybe whisk them off to a slave camp in some foreign country. Who knows? Never can tell. Get no due process. Oh, and by the way, it may not just be illegals too, because it's hit a number of people who weren't here illegally. But if you describe it vaguely, or the specifics you give are a total lie, which immigration has been doing that constantly. Oh, scary, horrible, like murderers and gang members and blah, blah, blah. Okay, are those the only people you're going after? Well, no, not at all. Are those a majority of the people you're going after? No, not at all. Are they even a significant minority of the people that are being, like, rounded up and deported? No, not at all. They're a minuscule percentage. Most of the people aren't victimizing anybody. They're not hurting anybody. They're just living their lives and working jobs and living a life somewhere, being human beings. And you're forcibly kidnapping them and shipping them somewhere else, like fascist psychos. But if you describe it that way, and if people could see one real-world example at a time, it would be an amazing sociology study. Go out on the street, say, hey, who's in favor of the deport all the illegal aliens? Yeah, me. Okay, take a bunch of those people. We'll put them in like a tour van. Okay, drive up to this place. Some like food stand. Hey, Carlos, how you doing? Hey, well, here you go. Yeah, I said Carlos. That's racist. Working his little food stand, people going by saying, hey, they know him. He's been there for ages. Then fascists come out, point guns at him, drag him away, put him in a cage. And you have to watch as a supporter and go, yeah, I'm in favor of that, I think. Well, we need to. There has to. Excuse. And then watch the next one, where maybe it's just some woman working in some factory or some company to try to feed her kids or whatever, and maybe she doesn't have the right paperwork to have the permission of the ruling class to be here. And so the fascists show up and they're dragging her away and she's crying and they're putting, and you have to watch. And still some of them would make excuses and some of them would start to feel like, ugh, this, I didn't want this. I just wanted those scary bad people they were talking about. Yeah, when it comes to legalized thuggery, it doesn't just hit the scary bad people. It isn't designed to control the scary bad people. It's designed to control you. And they know that if they speak in vagaries, or if the only specifics they give are always dishonest, like, I've been picking on the Republicans this whole time. Let's do the left. We need gun control so psychopaths don't get guns. Okay, so when the ATF raids people and drags them away, is that just psychopaths, like murderous, homicidal psychopaths they're rounding up? Those are the only ones? Well, no. Is it mostly psychopaths? No. Is it a significant minority of psychopaths? No. Is it mostly decent law-abiding people who, had something that technically the ATF decided was a... Or they decided to own something without the permission of the ruling class, even though they haven't threatened to hurt anybody? Yeah, that's who's getting dragged away or shot if they resist and stuck in a cage for years. Okay, if you could take those Democrats and one by one see, here's the real world result of your reasonable gun control. In fact, to make it extra traumatic, you have to make them invincible so they don't die while they're being spectators. Stick a bus full of the cheerleaders for gun control in front of the place the Branch Davidians lived, outside of Waco, Texas. In fact, let them see inside. Let them see the people in there in terror for, 51 days of the siege, surrounded by a heavily militarized ruling class, violently threatening them, terrorizing them at night, intentionally doing sleep deprivation tactics, literal terrorism against men, women, and children, old people, babies, all of it. How many voting Democrats could watch that if they see that up close and go, yeah, this is the gun control I wanted? Or you get to watch at Ruby Ridge a family being surrounded and there's a siege and there's a shootout and the mother got murdered and the nephew got murdered and there's a standoff. Not because somebody murdered somebody, not because somebody threatened somebody, but because somebody was cajoled by an undercover Fed into selling a shotgun that was like a quarter-inch shorter than the law allows. You think you could put a bunch of Democrats there close enough to see that, to see the shootouts, to see inside this terrified family like we're surrounded by the Feds who just shot a woman holding her baby on the front porch? How many Democrat voters you think are going to say, yeah, that's the gun control I wanted? That's the gun control you voted for. And the reason you did it is they speak in dishonest vagaries. Well, these weapons are dangerous. Do your thugs all have them? Yeah, but for some reason they're not dangerous when we have them. Do your thugs kill way more people with them than normal people? Well, yeah, but, everybody makes mistakes. But if even the people who vote for this crap could see up close and personal, example after example in the real world of the results of what it is that these vaguely described policies actually specifically do to real people, then almost everybody would and should feel really, really bad about whatever legal and political agenda they support, because they're all parasitical, they're all immoral, they're all violent aggression. All of them, Democrat, Republican, I don't care. They're all heinous when you break it down to the real world consequence. Because when they're not, if you only use force to stop actual aggressors, which I'm all in favor of, if somebody comes up to the U.S. from Mexico and is actually violently harming people, yeah, do whatever it takes to stop him. The same thing is true if it's somebody who was born here doing that. I don't care where he came from. The moral principle is use whatever force necessary to stop aggressors from hurting innocent people. Absolutely. Don't use it for anything else. Don't use force to be an aggressor. There's a term for that. It's called voluntarist, and it is absolutely incompatible with government. Because morality is absolutely incompatible with government. Government is inherently a violent, immoral aggressor. And it's why they always have to describe all of their policies, all of their agendas, all of their laws, all of their authoritarian BS. They have to disguise it as these vague euphemisms of, we just want to reduce gun violence. We just want to stop those scary people from coming into our country. We just want to, don't give me your we just want to, give me the specific reality of what it is that's happening, and then make the voters look at it. This is what you made happen. It's what you cheered for. Now, you cheered for it because of false advertising, because the political parasites lied to you about it, but you still voted for it and you still cheered for it. So, could be said that you still bear partial responsibility for the actual evil done to good people in the real world, because you didn't look any deeper than the vague bullshit they fed you. And thankfully, there are people now looking deeper and saying, this is not what I wanted. This is not okay. Wow, this is... Look deep enough and you will give up statism and you'll become an anarchist. Anarchist is a scary term for it. Voluntarist is less scary and more specific. It means that all human interaction should be voluntary, and the only time force is justified is to stop an aggressor from hurting somebody else. And there is no such thing as a government that has ever abided by that. You can't even conceptually have a government that only used force to defend people. I know a lot of constitutionalists think it's possible. I did too for a long time. Think it out. Think out your belief system until you realize the thing that's moral, that only protects people, if it all the way is not a violent, immoral aggressor, then it's not government anymore. It's just people being people. And that is what humanity has to evolve to. Instead of people having these weird delusions that, well, that ruling class, it has the right to rule us, and it makes up weird stuff, and we call it law, and we're supposed to respect it, even though it's just crap that people made up. Evolve past that and realize actually being consistent and moral human beings requires giving up the belief in political authority and government.